SportsMatters TV, bringing the sports home. Okay guys, welcome to SportsMatters TV. It's a special in association with Jerry Coughlan and friends as well. I'm joined by my co-guest Steve. He's an Arsenal fan, lads. An absolute Arsenal fan. It's good to have someone that's biased and stuff, you know. I'm joined by the Anfield Wrap lads, Neil and Gareth. Obviously, lads, you're on a tour at the moment. Belfast, Dublin, Cork. How's it been so far?
Absolutely superb. We love coming over here. We've been over lots. We've never been to Cork before, but we've been to Ireland lots and lots of times. We know obviously there are loads of passionate Liverpool fans here, and they passionately got behind the Anfield Wrap as well. It's fair to say they've helped us get to where we've got to, and we're always delighted to come here and give a little bit back, if you like. And yeah, the support around the show is absolutely brilliant. Same again tonight. And we love doing it. It's a great laugh, and it's a brilliant time to be doing it as well, because as you mentioned, Liverpool right now are absolutely brilliant.
Well, fine. And how's the set? Obviously, you're enjoying the points and all that.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's the same as back home, obviously in Liverpool, but like, there's good points. Dublin's obviously a great spot. Belfast is mad. Serious reaction from all the fans, definitely. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, they're mad for it. And you know, they're all telling me that they can't get tickets, and I'm like, there's lads in Liverpool that can't get tickets either. You know, it's a global issue that right now, because everyone wants to watch Liverpool.
Make the ground bigger.
Yeah, and like, you know, something we're going to probably talk about on the show, I think tonight, is that there was an article today kicking about talking about even though Liverpool are streaking away with the league title, 22 points clear, the thirst for Liverpool to be a part of it, it's just seemingly getting bigger and bigger, isn't it? And you know, like all the games that are being shown on the telly, people aren't going, don't really want to watch that because it's boring, because Liverpool are so much better than everyone else right now. They go, no, I want to watch them, they're great, they're superb, and there's no doubt about it for me, they are one of, if not the greatest side to ever represent the club.
I think so. And speaking of global lads, the Anfield Wrap, we all know it. Over 28 million downloads, it's huge. Obviously you enjoy it. It's when you said about first day, obviously, you know, you had ideas and you had plans and stuff. Did you believe it was going to be such a success?
No, I mean, I think you just start off doing something and it comes alive, you know what I mean? It starts with Andy and Gareth having a drink, and then from there we're all the way to Saturday today. Is all part of the same story. It couldn't have gone better, and the most important thing for us is, are we adding to people's enjoyment of supporting Liverpool? You know, that's our job. Our job isn't to, for instance, chronicle Liverpool better than even LFC TV or even, you know, a couple of the papers. Our job is to talk about supporting Liverpool and living that journey with people. So, you know, as long as we're doing that, as long as we're true to that, as long as we're letting, you know, as long as people who subscribe to what we do get to enjoy it and get to feel as though they love the club, but they also love this little additional thing. We can't ask any more than that, and at the minute that's what's happening, and it's been happening for a while.
And the connection you have with the fans is incredible. Like, and obviously, you know, you get to interview the players. You know, you were in America doing the tour. What's it like to have that connection? Obviously, to dream come true.
Yeah, of course it is, and it's great to be around people who are. One of the things I love, for instance, when we do the tours, go to the States and you get to see people who, you know, have all got plans to get to Liverpool, but they can't be there all the time. And being able to sort of soundtrack, in a sense, their Liverpool supporting journey is just a real privilege. It's not something that, you know, it's certainly not something that we take lightly, but also it's something which, you know, you can really get stuck into, and they themselves feel they're part of this, even more part of the fantastic club. Because the best thing about Liverpool is how it looks outwards. The best thing about Liverpool support, as opposed to Everton support, is that it manages to find a way to want to be welcome into the world and not want to define itself against something, but instead say, you know, it's a huge positive thing to be part of. And as I say, if we can add to that, and if we can add to that talking about the city, because we're based in the heart of the city, that's what we want. Me and Gareth don't just love Liverpool Football Club, we do, but we love the city of Liverpool as well.
Great city for a night out as well, and obviously Anfield is awesome. But speaking of the season in general, right, it hasn't, you know, couldn't go any better. No, we haven't lost a game all season. Obviously, one draw against United, which hurts. Last season, one loss. You know, dream to watch them in better shape.
Yeah, unbelievable. And I think the mentality of them as a group, the spirit of them as a group is absolutely brilliant. I mean, I if someone sat here now who supported another club and said to me, you know, you can make an argument for that around the world, maybe, you know, some of the bigger clubs, even Man City, you know, man for man, maybe, certainly in certain positions you can say other clubs have got better players and things like that. And I almost used to get a little bit worn down when it wasn't going well for us, when you heard managers say it's not about individuals, it's about the team. But this really shows that it is about the team, it is about the squad, it is about the club, and it runs right through the club right now. I think that's the best thing about it. So not only is the first team brilliant, not only is the manager brilliant, Pep Linders is brilliant, but you know, you see the younger teams who've represented Liverpool this season, seeing it again against Shrewsbury Town. You know, that was an unbelievable feat, that. I think, you know, not enough is being made of it, because to do what they did, beat a team that is playing week after week after week together in a professional league, okay, a couple of notches down from Liverpool's Premier League team, they're a youth team and they might play together, and that's great, but to do what they did was absolutely brilliant, and it's created an even bigger buzz around the place now, because people are talking about trebles, people are talking about winning everything, breaking every record going, and that spirit, as I say, just runs right through the club, and that hasn't always been the case. We've had some good sides in the past, but you know, there hasn't been that connection between the different parts of the club, between the youth team and the first team, between the first team manager and the person running the academy. Those relationships haven't always been right, and we've had to live through that, and we know all about them. Now though, right now, it's honestly brilliant. It's the best it's ever been.
What's your take on Curtis Jones?
Oh, he's fabulous. I mean, you know, it's going to be difficult for him to get proper time on the pitch, I think, now between now and the end of the season. I very much hope he starts against Chelsea. Hope Chiravella starts against Chelsea as well in the FA Cup. But I think Curtis might have to be a little bit patient for the rest of this season, but I suspect from next season, certainly if there is one or maybe two departures from centre midfield, I think he's going to get a lot of time on the pitch. I think it could go really, really quickly for him. I'll be amazed, and I'll say it right now, amazed if he doesn't make at least 100 appearances for Liverpool, and I'd be genuinely surprised if he doesn't make 250, 300 appearances for Liverpool. I think he just looks a phenomenal talent, looks like he can play in almost any position on the pitch, great size, brilliant touch. You know, he's
cocky,
backs
arrogant.
himself.
You see
Absolutely
the
backs
interview,
himself.
when the interview was mad. He had the Irish accent, the Scozer accent.
That's
Oxford
boy, though.
Cool.
Oxford part of Liverpool is a melting pot of cultures, and gloriously so, to be honest with you. And there is a bit of a different accent there, but you know, it's not too hard to work out why. And I think, you know, a lot of people are being surprised by Curtis's accent, and it makes me laugh, because where I live now, I don't live far away from Toxteth, and I like Toxteth. I think it's great, as I say, for all the good reasons. You know, it's had bad press for a long time. It deserves some good press. Curtis has given them that. And I think, you know, people are used to, you know, Jamie Carragher's Bootle accent, Steven Gerrard's Highton accent, and he's doing something for the south end of the city, and for Toxteth in particular, and he's a great lad, isn't he? And you know, I think everyone who supports the club wants to see him do well, and to have the audacity to do what he did against Everton and win it, whatever happens.
One of the great goals of the season.
Exactly. Whatever happens, we've always got that.
Have you watched young Caoimhín Kelleher, Cork lad, right? Literally a stone throw away. Caoimhín's obviously, you know, he's had 2 or 3 tough games, but you know, look well again the other night. Would you rate Caoimhín? Obviously, he can do stuff.
So what's been interesting for him and for Vandenberg in the last game was you don't half get to see the difference that 3-4 months makes when you're that age of footballer. That all of a sudden I thought he looked bigger. And it's always going to be the question for him, I think, as a goalkeeper, is he big enough? I don't think the question's going to be, is his talent there? Is his brain right? Can he use his feet? That's all sorted out, I think. Where he makes it eventually as a player, in terms of will he be Premier League, top half Premier League, top 6 Premier League, or will he be Championship? And I don't see him going any lower than that. Will come down to the size of him. And you got to see that with, as I say, it wasn't just him, it was also with Vandenberg, who, trust me, before that Shrewsbury Town game, I was thinking, God, I can't bear watching this fella tonight, and then he was brilliant. And so you just get to see that development, and I think that we can, because we're so used to footballers often turning up fully formed, we forget that 4 months, if you're actually, 4 months if you're the age of 21, and if you've only been training with these lads for 12 months, well, 4 months is a third of that time. You can come on leaps and bounds, and that is the key question, I think, for him, is can he fill out enough? Doubt he gets any taller from this point, but can he fill out enough? Because if he can, as I say, everything else is there. It looks like his reactions are spot on, and also he was integrated in that team against Shrewsbury. He was the 11th man, like a lot of modern goalkeepers are. He wasn't just on his line, he came for everything, and he comes out last minute to claim a cross, pulls it down, and the whole ground goes bananas for him. And I really hope he's going to build on that and enjoy it.
I think as well with him as well, with Kelleher, the experience that he's had. And this goes for all of them. You've got that chance against Shrewsbury, against Everton, against Arsenal. I mean, Kelleher saves a penalty in the shootout in that game. That experience is absolute gold for all of them. And ordinarily, perhaps at other clubs, they're not getting that. That's another great thing about Liverpool right now. That you hear clubs all the time talk about pathways to the first team. And a lot of the time it can be bollocks, to be honest with you. But at Liverpool now, it's clear, the story is there, it's writ large. Look what happened against Shrewsbury, look what happened against Arsenal, look what happened against Everton. We're giving youth a chance. And obviously some people, don't like it and talk about disrespect of cups and all this. Again, I would label that bollocks, because The Arsenal match was an absolute belter to be at. The Everton match was an absolute belter to be at. And Shrewsbury, as I've already said, was absolutely brilliant. Lots of people got to see the match that don't ordinarily get in there. Talked before about how hard it is to get a ticket. And it was such a shame that it wasn't shown worldwide on the television. It felt a little bit like somewhere along the line someone's thrown some toys out of the pram, because it was a cracking game. And Shrewsbury played a part in that as well. And it was great to be on the top watching it.
I think this is really important. I haven't enjoyed the Cups as much as I have this season for years. Genuinely haven't enjoyed them as much. You want to talk about respect or disrespect from these tournaments. What's been driving me mad is, well, I'm, as someone who's paying money to go through the gate, I'm having a great time. I am having an absolutely fabulous time watching this side. Even the side that, you know, got thumped at Villa Park, you still can now see that as something that in part helps a lot of those players before they play Shrewsbury Town. So it's no fun getting beat, but there's a lot to be said for growth, for improvement, for development, and they've had that. And I think that, you know, the narrative around this sort of disrespect, respect, what does it actually mean thing, well, the first thing I'd say is, we'll go and ask the supporters. And as, you know, as Gareth said there, we've had a great time. Honestly, there's been few games that have been, I was laughing my head off at half time against Everton and it was still only 0-0. Watching the realisation from their end, their supporters and then their players, they were going to get beat by this team, which becomes crystal clear on about 35. If they could have gone then, they would have just said, you know what, this is embarrassing. And you could see it coming, and it was just fabulous to watch for that reason. That's what local rivalry is about. Trust me, the only thing that was disrespected that day was Everton, and rightly so.
I agree. Steve?
Yeah, can I just say, when I was growing up, the Liverpool team that I remember would have been Barnes in one way, Houghton on the other, Rush over the top, and just great football. Playing like that. And this season with Liverpool, you saw that against Leicester City. It was probably, so you'd have watched all Liverpool training. This team is the closest I've seen to probably that type of attacking football.
Yeah, they
in a long time.
They want to cut loose. I mean, I'd say that they were probably attacking in a more chaotic, more enjoyable way in the, you know, the Roma 5-2 in 2018. I think is them absolutely cut loose. They were 5-0 up in that game and it was only in about 60 minutes. But what they do now is they pick the moments and they control the game really, really well. And then they decide almost, right, for the next 15 minutes we're going to be unplayable. And that's what you saw against Leicester. I was on the ground against Leicester. I had like red circle around it for ages, thinking this is going to be something, and it really was. You know, they were tremendous. But then, you know, another game I loved this season where I thought they were brilliant in a different way was Wolves away. When Wolves come out second half and absolutely, like, they go pace for pace with Liverpool, and again the same thing happens. Liverpool catch the breath, calm it down, and then they turn it right the way back up, and that's what this side's brilliant at.
But like that early Liverpool side, they used to win a lot, that I'd remember growing up. That was what they could do. They could steamroll a team. But even like the game Liverpool played against Burnley recently, where they weren't at their best, that's a game they might have lost 2 or 3 years ago. Whereas now they seem to know, look, we just keep possession and we'll wait for them to give us our opportunity. They don't try to force it too much.
I mean, it all comes down to nous, to confidence, to ability, and all those things being wedded together. And I think we've seen good sides at Liverpool before, but there's always been something that isn't quite right. Whether it might be a player looking to move on, or a player that you know you're only going to have for a limited time because he's got bigger ambitions than where Liverpool are at that time. I just think everything right now, all the cards have fell into place, and that helps with the football on the field as well. Those lads are going out there week after week knowing how good they are, knowing what they're capable of, and knowing, as you say, that they can win football matches in different ways. So Leicester, absolute champagne football. Other games, less so. You know, they've had to fight, or they've won because of how good they are on set pieces, or they've won just because they go for 95, 96 minutes and they literally run other players, opposition players off the park because they're not as fit as Liverpool. So there's lots and lots of different ways. There's a contributor to the Anfield Wrap called Damien Caoimhín who said we're like a Swiss Army knife, and it's a very good analogy. And
it's also, I suppose, modern football happens. There's a lot of player turnover, but when they decided, you know, they let Suarez go for a lot of money, they let Coutinho go for a lot of money, but it's the way they've reinvested that money has been smart, with maybe not the big huge names. But Klopp understood kind of the way he wanted to play in the players that would fit into his system, whereas other clubs invest lots of money in players, but they don't necessarily fit in, and then they change manager, and manager gets rid of players, and players come in. But Liverpool have kind of set a base for the next few years where they could you know, even like in January and whatever, they don't need to bring players in as such, maybe 1 or 2 for cover and that 1 or 2 out, but the recruitment has been very impressive.
Yeah, the recruitment's been tremendous, and you know it's been tremendous since Klopp's been in. Before then as well, some groundwork was being laid. You know, Klopp ended up working with. He came in and everyone thought he's going to get rid of this whole squad. He doesn't do that. There's loads of players who were around for when he first came in: Joe Gomez, Divock Origi, Jordan Henderson, Milner, Lallana, Lovren. These players, he's found a way to use all of them, and what that's meant is he hasn't had to, because he's not felt like he needs to buy 40 players and have a big turnover where some succeed, some fail. He's worked with what he's got. He's had a little look at it. He's took a breath and he's worked out how people can contribute to what he's about. But when he's had to, and I think that's the big thing that defines the last sort of 2 years in terms of recruitment, it's a lot of money on Van Dijk and it's a lot of money on Alisson, but he does it and he gets it right. And from there you're then able to say, right, those are now 2 absolutely integral pieces to what he's done, and that allows you, if you decide that you can use Jordan Henderson, who's fabulous football, you can use Lallana, you can use Milner, that then allows you to say, right, when we go, we've got to go big, but when we go big, we also make sure we get it right.
Yeah, and I suppose, me being an Arsenal fan, obviously I remember Arsenal in the not so good days, but also in when Wenger first came in, and he changed football by the professionalism. He got rid of basically the drinking culture, and that players had to be fitter and that. Do you think Klopp now will have an influence on clubs in terms of, even I see it at Arsenal with Arteta, where he's more, I'm going to work with what I have, and that's the model other clubs are now going to try and catch up and follow?
I think that's exactly what you're seeing, and talked already about the youth players and the fact that Klopp's give them a chance. He's enabled them. He's given them the confidence. You're seeing it all the time. And what you're talking about being smart, that's just it's smartness right across the club. So all of a sudden now we've got a lad there at right back who we know without a doubt can fill in for Trent when he's injured, because he's played in these games now and he's looked one of the best. Nico Williams, he's been one of the best players on the pitch every time he's played, and you can see the confidence growing. You can see him almost saying to himself, I'm going to play like Trent.
I can do this.
I want to show the manager that I can do this. And he was getting forward, he's putting shots on goal, he's going around players, he's even taking the mick. I mean, he beat one player about 3 times the other night, and it was like, any other time you're looking at it and saying, you cheeky bastard, but when you're a Liverpool fan, you're like, that's brilliant, lad. To have the confidence to be doing that at that stage of his career is absolutely superb. So now maybe things have shifted behind the scenes and they're going, we don't need to buy a lad from a lower league or lower down the Premier League to cover Trent at fullback. Nico's ready.
And I think it will impact other clubs. I think people will begin to say to themselves, how can we work? I'm intrigued by what Arteta's going to do at Arsenal. I think it's going to be a bit of a slow process. I think it's more understanding how it all clicks together. And as I say, you can improve a lot of players with one signing. You can improve a lot of players with 2 signings. People can come on leaps and bounds. It's no coincidence to me that I think I rate both Lovren and Matip. I think they're both really, really good centre-backs, but they look a lot better when they play next to Virgil van Dijk. They look a lot better when they play in front of Alisson. That just sort of having those players around you, that onus taken off you, it helps massively, and I think that you've got to see it right the way across the pitch, and that's what Klopp's done brilliantly.
And the owners as well, I suppose, in the same way me as an Arsenal fan, see Arteta coming in, I know things won't change overnight. If we're talking 4 or 5 years down the line, you hope the owners give him the time to do what he wants to do. But in Liverpool, the owners did that with Klopp, when the results were a bit up and down when he first came in, but they could see what he was laying the groundwork for.
Yeah, I think it's that, but I think also it's an ownership that's learned from its mistakes. It's really important to firstly respect that fact. What's not gone on is that they haven't firstly come in and thought that they can't learn and they can't grow themselves and change. And what they haven't done is they haven't dug their heels in around certain things. The flip side of that is that means that genuinely they have got things wrong. But it also now it's now to the testament. The way the club's set up now, the way in which it's being run, as Gareth said before, from top to bottom, it is absolutely second to none. And I think that they've been a significant part of that. I think at any manager, at any club, the manager sets the mood music. And I think that's a really important thing to remember, that the manager sets the mood music. And I think you can see that with Klopp at the moment. And I think part of what he's done is he's actually been able to encourage the ownership in a certain direction on a few occasions, got them to be the sort of owners and make the sort of decisions he needs them to make for the good of the club, full stop. I think that shows his brilliance. He manages upwards as well as downwards. But I do think that there's a lot to be taken from ownerships that are flexible, that have got certain principles, but beyond that are very, very flexible and are open to learning, especially when they come in from abroad.
Yeah, and I would be I lived in New England for a long time, massive Boston Red Sox fan, who they obviously run as well. And they've obviously just let, they will, the biggest talents in baseball go, but again, it's backing their new general manager, and they're allowing him to do that. Instead of saying, no, we need to keep this superstar, the general manager has a bigger plan. He's saying, look, we get rid of him, we'll build for the future for what we can get back for him. And the owners, even though they know they're going to get a lot of hate for it, are willing to back their man.
Yeah, I think that's... I don't quite understand in any organisation, if you put someone in charge of something, you put them in charge of it. If you haven't got faith in them to deliver, then you should have put them in charge of it in the first place. Or if you lose that faith, then you've got a big decision to make. And I think that's, for me, that's just common sense. And I think a lot of what they've done well is the application of just sensible things, and also not allowing themselves to be blown off course, not allowing themselves to do flavour of the month bits and pieces. And I think that's what's really worked for them in that regard. But as I say, there was, we talk about on stage, or have done the last couple of nights, we're still less than we're just now 4 years since we walked out the ground protesting about £77 tickets. It's worth remembering that. But that's a good example of where they went, okay, you don't want that, we'll change this, and look to work, and then made a couple of changes internally in the club that summer. That's what they've got to do, and that's what all ownership should do.
Absolutely.
We'll fire out 3 quick questions, lads. Do you reckon we'll ever see Coutinho back at Liverpool?
No.
Next.
You said quick.
Harry Wilson, does he have a shot next year?
No.
I don't think so, no, unfortunately. I like him, and he's obviously absolutely brilliant on free kicks and stuff. I think he can cut it, lower half of the Premier League, top half of the Championship, but Liverpool are way, way, way above that level, and I think you've got to ask yourself, why has he not really had a go at Liverpool? And personally, I think it's because for all the good football that Liverpool play, Klopp wants his players to also have some physicality about them, and he's a small lad ultimately, and he can't do anything about that, and it's nothing against him. He's got a lot of talent. I just think that talent's going to be elsewhere.
And he's also now arguably being overtaken by Jones. You'd have thought this season that could change.
And Jones is a big lad, by the way.
That could change, but I don't think it will. And I think that's also is you can only. We all want Liverpool to find ways to get young players involved, but you can only blood so many at a time. And I just sort of do think that the time's passed for Wilson.
Definitely. And last of all, lads, right? PFA Player of the Year. We possibly have 11 players that could win that. That's how good Liverpool have been this year. Obviously, it's not nice to have a favourite among Liverpool fans, but do you think Henderson's going to do it? Do you think it's going to be someone else? Do you have any predictions at all? Because Henderson's been out there, obviously. Roberto Firmino is another player that would probably deserve it, but they all deserve it, They all do.
Yeah, that's the problem. The problem is that they all deserve it. Listen, I think it's also the important thing to remember on it as well is it's mad when it's voted for, so it might already have been voted for. I think I'm right in saying, and footballers like the rest of us in that they might like a little bit of a flavour of the month. So there's a chance that maybe it was when Henderson was playing, as he still is, absolutely brilliantly at the base of that midfield. So he might have caught some eyes, come up against him, thought he was really, really good. There's a chance of that. I think that Van Dijk obviously has been terrific, but he won it last year, and I think for a defender that's tough. But you're right to say, there's
even Sadio Mane as well. I mean, Sadio Mane, for precisely the point that Neil makes. If footballers, when they're voting for it, are thinking, okay, from the start of the season to this point, who has been brilliant, who's been a driving force for Liverpool, or who's been impressive across the Premier League, it's Sadio Mane, because from day one of this season, he's had it between his teeth that he wants to win this Premier League, and it's been writ large in everything he's done, and he's been brilliant. He's been putting it in the back of the net. He had his little, which I thought was brilliant, by the way, outburst at Burnley. The tabloids tried to make something of it. I just saw a man that's desperate to win this league, as desperate as we are. He deserves it for that alone, for me giving him the award now.
100%. Lads, an absolute honour. Good luck taking over the world as usual. Obviously there's going to be worldwide tours as usual, and hopefully we get you back in Cork ASAP again after the nice show. Thanks, lads.
Cheers, mate. Take it easy, boys.
Huge thank you to our media partners, Suit Distributors Cork and Shooters Pool and Gaming in Blackpool. SportsMatters TV, bringing the sports home.